Okay, welcome class of 2024. This is your final set of geography PPEs, and we're taking a look today at paper 2 from 2023. I'm going to use this opportunity to do this now. I will also do it later in the video as well, which is this section here, which is just being highlighted. This is a bit more tricky than the other exam papers you will sit, on the grounds that you have to answer all the questions in section A and section B. That's question 1 and question 2. You then have to answer question 3 and also one of the other questions in section C, whether that be question 4, question 5 or question 6. Really important that in the exam you are aware of that before you start taking the paper, because otherwise you will spend far too little time on the sections you need to do, and obviously you'll run out of time if you're trying to do more than you need to do. So paper 2, like I've said, it is a human geography paper. Let's have a little talk through of these questions. Okay then, so question number 1, make sure my highlight's still on a second. Yeah, it is. Give is the easiest command word. It's the one where my little 4-year-old is now actually, even my little 3-year-old, if you say give to them, they know what it means. It just means just tell me, that nothing else in there, just tell me what the answer is. 1, so not 2, reason for the growth of megacities in LIC/NEEs. So there's an assumption here that you know what a megacity is, which is a population of 10 million people or more. So a reason why they have grown. It's a really straightforward question if you know your geography. If you don't, you're really going to struggle on this one. 2 most common answers given, I've just popped up on the board there. High rates of rural to urban migration, the idea that people leave the countryside and move to the cities. Quite a lot of you clarify that for work, which is absolutely valid. And then the other one, slightly more complicated, is the high rates of natural increase in cities. What that means is because you have such a large population migrating there, usually of working age, you end up with quite a high birth rate in those cities as well, as you have people between the ages of 15 and 30 emigrating to these cities. It's fairly likely, as a result of more than 10 million people living in a city, that you're going to find somebody of a similar age to you, and therefore there's more chance of conceiving children within that population than the rest of the country as a result. So either of those 1 point would have been absolutely fine. The one that you should know really is this concept of rural to urban migration. Well, we've got study figure 1, a table showing the projected population of the world's 10 largest cities in 2030. Okie dokie, so Delhi, Tokyo, Shanghai, fantastic. Right, so this is just in millions what we think the population is going to be in 2030. What have we been asked to do then? Calculate, so that means to work out the mean size of the cities shown in figure 1. So the mean size, remember what you have to do with the mean, it's add them all up and divide them by the number of. So in this case, just to clarify, or just to add a little bit of a challenge, they've also want that to 1 decimal place. So we've got the mark scheme there. You get 1 mark for the working and 1 for the correct answer. If you just put the correct answer, you would get both marks on the grounds that you have to have done the workings out to get that answer. So the overall answer there is 28.06. However, it's being you are being asked to do it to 1 decimal figure, and as a result the answer here 28.1. Really important that we've got that one right, and if you're not sure about means, medians and modes, this is the time to be asking for that guidance. Right, next one, straight into another figure, study figure 2, a graph showing selected crimes reported on Twitter. What? In Mexico City. We do have some really bizarre questions in geography sometimes. Street robbery, right, quite a lot of those. Theft of motor vehicle, doesn't appear to be a bar at the moment, that's interesting. Business burglary, card fraud and domestic burglary. So domestic means household burglary. Okay, question 1.3, complete. Okay, that means to finish something. Figure 2 using the following data. Well, there, look, there it is. Theft of motor vehicle, 350 reports done. So what you have to do, you have to take this, information and pop it into here, you can see that currently we have a missing bar. So to show you what the correct answer would look like, it would look like this, where you have a bar that is 320, no, 340, no, 360, no, but 350 fits just in between there, and you need to draw that as a straight line. Nice and easy one, really. And then 1 mark, approximately how much more frequent is street robbery, right, it's important to make sure we get the right categories, street robbery than business burglary, right, okay. Street robbery is there, okay, and what was the other one? Business burglary, okie dokie. Right, so street robbery appears to be, what's that, about 1,020-ish, I would call that, up there, is that 1,020, give or take, and the business burglary, what are we talking about, 330-ish, so 330, okay, right. How many more times frequent is it? Okay, so 330-ish, 330, 660 would be 2 times, so no. 990 is pretty close, yeah, and as a result, there's your answer. It is 3 times more likely. All right, relatively straightforward to work out. The thing you have to do, and this is why highlighting is so important, is make sure we are highlighting what the question actually wants us to do. Some of you have got this one wrong, and I know the reason why is because you've not used business burglary, you've used domestic burglary. So really, really important to make sure we get that right. Next one, question 1.5, another little short one for us. Outline means to briefly explain. 1, so not 2, reason why reducing crime, okay, making there be less crime, is a challenge, so something that's difficult, in some LIC NE cities. So that's quite a tricky question. Why is it hard to reduce crime in some poorer cities of the world? So there's a couple of ways you can do this. Because it's an outline question, there's going to be a mark for a statement and then a mark for a so what, because it's like briefly explain. So you'd get 1 mark for any of these statements. High levels of poverty was the most common one that you guys went for, which is a very good answer. Well done, you get 1 mark for that. We've also got gangs controlling large areas and people not trusting the police. The second mark comes from so what? So what if there's a high level of poverty? And I've just popped it down here. So the second mark, high levels of poverty is 1 mark. Then a lot of you got this. I was really impressed with the people who wrote this, which means people may resort to crime to survive. Now that means that it's very hard to stop because people aren't doing it for the thrill of, you know, breaking into a car and driving it around St. Austell. They're not doing it for that reason. They are doing it for survival. They're doing it for food. They're doing it for water. And as a result of that, it's very difficult to stop because even if you put some harsh sentencing in place, it doesn't deter people to do it because they're doing it for survival, not for luxury. The other 2 there are also just, you know, possible options, might be good ones just to note take in relation to if a question like this came up again. One that you could say as well is low investment in policing, and therefore the problem becomes that because the population's grown so much, police struggle to control many areas of the city. So that would be another way that you could get the marks there. It's our first big one. Here we go. Study figure 6, a photograph of a street class run by volunteers in Mexico City. So let's have a little look at this image first then. I mean, this just appears to be on the pavement to me. I think this is a parked car right there. Oh, that highlight didn't work. I think there's a parked car there. This just appears to be on, yeah, potentially the pavement, potentially a little bit of a car park. Not really sure, but I mean, this is as basic as a classroom gets, really, isn't it? I mean, it looks like they've got, if I just draw a little line to it there, it looks like there's like a curtain there just to try and give the illusion of it being a classroom, where of course it's not. What's the question could ask us about this then? So I mean, straight away I'm thinking this is very basic. To what extent, oh, Mr. Tom's favourite. Whenever you see a to what extent question, what it means is you need to be using our extentometer. Okay, there's our extentometer on the board. You never want to fully agree and fully disagree, but do you mostly agree, partly disagree? Always remember to aim for somewhere in this lovely area by highlighting blue. Somewhere in there is the area to go for. Don't go fully disagree and fully agree because you can't evaluate. So here we go then. Extentometer has urban growth. Okay, so there's not there's a fact there that there has been urban growth. So the growth of cities created social opportunity. So things people can do. Okay, use figure 3. Okay, so that means half the marks are going to be in relation to you using this figure, and an LIC any example you have studied. So there's a split here between your 3 marks for going to be using figure and 3 marks for your own kind of example. It doesn't always work exactly like that in a mark scheme, but it's a nice way to picture it. So 6 mark questions, general, your 2 paragraphs are going to be needed. Is there any hidden evaluation? No, actually, because they've just told you it's a to what extent question. Use the figure if provided. Yes, Mr. Toms, we all promised to do that. And evidence your ideas with a case study. Well, it's even told you. It's been quite nice, this one, actually. Look, it's actually told you there. You've got to use your own example. Just attach a mark scheme here. AO2 shows detailed understanding of the relationship between urban growth and the opportunities offered. So can you link the growing size of a city to people having more opportunities? And AO3, look, it's that analysis of the figure and another example. Okay, it's the analysis of it. Is it to a large extent that these opportunities exist, or is it to a small extent that these opportunities exist? Do they benefit everybody, or do they only benefit a very small number of people? So I'm going to put the model answer straight up here, and I'll go through and just highlight a few bits for you. What we've got here is your standard kind of layout, a quick introduction sentence, your 2 little paragraphs, and then an overall comment at the end. So introduction, I'm going to use yellow for the evaluation just because there's yellow up there. Every time that I'm using the to what extent kind of concept, I'm going to highlight it in yellow just to show you how much the answer needs to be linked to it. There you go, straight away, I mostly agree. Okay, mostly agree. You're telling the examiner, this is my answer. That's going to be, straight away, kids, that's going to be 1 mark just for that. I mostly agree. I mean, you can't just write I mostly agree. As soon as you start putting a little bit more on it, you will get 1 mark straight away for that statement. I've then mentioned, it's quite a clever little exam strategy, this one. I've just mentioned Mumbai in there straight away. Now, Mumbai isn't the figure up there is Mexico City, but it's told you, make sure you use another example. So the fact I'm telling the example I'm going to talk about Mumbai is a very clever way just to lay the examiner out for the examiner what this answer is going to look like. So let's have a little look. As shown in the figure, that's clever, Mr. Toms. As shown in the figure, we're going to do what the exam board wants us to do. Look, it's up here. Use figure 3. I'm using figure 3. There are more chances to access education in a city. Yes, there are. Volunteers in Mexico City or 2-day-a-week charity schools in Dharavi give rural migrant children the chance to access education, providing the opportunity, nice use of the word opportunity, to learn skills like reading and writing, giving the chance to access higher skilled jobs in the future, improving access to opportunities and quality of life, which they probably would not have had in rural areas. Now, all of that kind of chunk in there, I'm just going to do it in red over here. All of these marks here are AO2. These are my explanations. This is me showing the exam board. I know how urban growth has created social opportunities. But the thing that we're not very good at the moment is the next bit, which is our evaluation, because you actually did fairly well at explaining the fact there was more opportunities, but you didn't do the extentometer so much. However, the fact that these schools are run by volunteers, which it says in the figure, may mean the quality of education is poor, as they are not trained teachers, so the quality is variable. Now, the idea behind this is, if you think of your teachers in Penrith, all of them are either degree educated and then have a PGCE, which is a type of teaching qualification, or alternatively in a different route have then also had to go and get a teacher qualification. And what that means is the teachers in front of you are professionals. They are qualified to do that job. That there comes with that the kind of idea that they know what they're doing. Whereas these volunteers, I mean, they have no formal training as being a teacher. So yes, the opportunity exists, you can access it, but to what quality it is, I don't know. I wouldn't want to think of people I know, like I wouldn't want some of my friends to be teaching geography in Penrose. They wouldn't have a clue what was going on. However, is that still better than having no education at all? Potentially. Second paragraph, you can look at this and go, this is a very short paragraph. In addition, the higher population will mean there is more investment in infrastructure like water pipes, which say increasing supply. In Darrowby, water is made available in communal taps, reducing the chance of cholera, so providing more opportunity to work and socialise. Again, children, that section there, that's my AO2 again. That's me explaining how does urban growth link to social opportunities. And in this case, I've gone for accessing clean water. But again, look, we've got to have that evaluation again. However, the water is only available for 2 hours a day, meaning not all in the slum can access it. So what we've got there again is, yes, there are opportunities created by urban growth, but not everybody can access it. That word, however, has been used both times. If you get a purple highlighter, this is such a strong word to use. Any time you have an evaluation or an assess or a discuss or a to what extent question, use the word however, because the examiners are told to look for that word. They're going to skim read your answer. They're not necessarily going to read it word for word, but if you put that word however in, it's just going to catch them to go, oh, there's an argument on the other side here. And then right at the end, we've got another bit of evaluation. Overall, though opportunities are created, they may not be of the highest quality service and they may not benefit all the people in a city. Now, when you look at my whole answer here, I'm looking at this and saying about 50% of my answer here is AO3. It's the to what extent part of this question. That's what you need to be doing here. You've got to balance your explanation, which you guys are quite good at, but you've got to balance that against that to what extent, because the question is asking you to what extent. Okay, if it was just an explain question, you wouldn't need to do that. But because it's asking you to what extent, you need to dedicate a substantial proportion of your answer to answering that to what extent. So hopefully that makes sense. Any queries about that 6 marker, make sure you come and see me or raise your hand if you're in a computer room in front of me right now. Right, next one, we're getting on to UK cities now. Study figure 4, a map of Leicester's cycle routes in 2020. Is quite a change from where we were just a moment ago in Mexico City. Which route would you use to travel southwest from the bike park? What? Oh, I see. Right, this is where you've got to look at the figure. The bike park's right there in the middle. So we've got to go southwest. I assume there's a north arrow somewhere. Yep, there it is. Yeah, okay, northwest. So we need to know our never eat shredded wheat. And we're going to try and end up in, southwest is going to be in this direction somewhere then, isn't it? Down there. So what are my options? Let's have a little look. The A47 Hinckley Road. No, we don't want to be heading in that direction. The A50 Grosby Road. Can't even see that one. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, we definitely don't want to be going up there. Dearie me. No, don't want to be going to do either of those two. Mill Lane Bridge. Ah, look, there's Mill Lane Bridge. That's pretty southwesterly, isn't it? Or Oadby Racecourse. Well, we definitely don't want to be over there. That's southeast. So I assume it's going to be C, and it is C. Just take your time. It took me a little while there to find out where the road names were and to find out what the bike park was. So take your time with that. Get the highlighter out. It's just go through those steps to get these 1 marks. How long would it take to cycle from the bike park, right, I know what that is, to Evington Library? Right, bear with me, children. Evington Library. Oh, here we go. I can see it. Evington Library. Well, how do we work out? Oh, look, it's got minutes. Oh, you just add the minutes up here. 10, 5, 5, 5, 5. 30 minutes. Look at that. What are the odds? So a nice, easy one again. Just take your time. Don't panic and go, oh, I can't find Evington Library. Just take your time. Go through each of them. You'll find it eventually. It took me a little while then, but you make sure we get these 1 marks. They're going to be crucial at the end. The grade boundaries are so close together. Next one, I like a 4 marker. What have we got here as our question? Suggest, which means come up with something. How urban transport strategy, so in a city, how do people get around, can be used to reduce, make less traffic congestion. Traffic congestion being the idea of slow moving traffic caused by simply the number of cars on the road most commonly, or a lack of lanes to get the cars through. What is it asking? Use figure 4. Well, I've had to shrink that down, apologies, but it was this figure down here. And your own understanding. Again, it's telling you, look, it's telling you, you've got to use figure, but you've got to use your own understanding, which is like exam board code for a case study. 4 marks, it's kind of told you here previously, but on a 4 mark question, you need 2 times points, okay? 2 arguments, and it's telling you, take 1 from the figure and 1 from your own understanding. There's the mark scheme. Oh, look at this. I'll tell you what, look at this, children. Look. AO3, you've got to use figure 4 to be able to get into the top one. You've got to be able to use it, and you've got to do it effectively as well. Interesting. And offer development to explain the link. So look, half the marks here, we're talking figure 4. So we've got to be specific when we're using this. Let's have a little look then. Here's my AO4, here's my AO3, sorry, here's my use of my figure. Promoting cycle routes by showing the short times required will educate and motivate residents of Leicester to cycle so that more people choose it instead of a car. Oh, hang on, look at this. Reducing the amount of cars and therefore congestion. There's my answer to the question. I've directly linked it back. Because when you have to use figure 4, you've got to find a reason why that's going to reduce congestion. You have to tell me that telling people that bike journeys are really quick, that will mean more people will actually use the bikes, so therefore less people will drive. You've got to go through those steps. It's blindingly obvious, but you've got to write it out fully to get those marks. So at the moment I'd be on 2 marks, then I'm going to use my other example. This is my wider knowledge. Another method is a park and ride like in Plymouth. Commuters park in one of the 3 terminals in the suburbs and then get bussed, I'm not sure if that's how you spell bus, into the centre using bus lanes. This reduces the amount of cars on the road, so there's less traffic and speeds up journey times. Again, look, that's the answer to the question. You have to make sure you link this back. A couple of you said things like this, more people will cycle or more people will get the bus. Full stop. It's like, no, that doesn't explain why there's less congestion. You have to take it another step to go, so therefore less people are driving, so therefore there's less cars on the road, less traffic, etc. Okay, so you've got to make sure you link back to the question and answer the question being asked. Next one, I do like these questions. They're throwing one of these in almost every year now. They get a little 1 or 2 mark question, and it's generally an outline about a UK city. Outline means briefly explain one way, so 1 not 2, in which a UK city you have studied Plymouth, is important in the UK. Okay, important. So really crucial you understand this. The word important can mean many different things, and it does for different cities, as I'll show you in a moment, but you have to justify why something is important in this question. Okay, so I'll show you what the exam board put. The exam board is assuming most schools will be probably doing London or Birmingham as the capital city in the second city. He's also given Bristol because that's in its in the textbook. So you can look at how you would get the marks for those. Now, obviously, with us doing Plymouth, it is a little bit more tricky on the grounds that Plymouth is a less important city than London, Birmingham, Bristol. But we have got one part of our case study which absolutely puts it near the top of the important cities in the UK, which is this. The Devonport Naval Base and I've added that little bit extra there, refurbishes nuclear submarines. There's 1 mark straight away, because that's a reason why it's important. Your second mark, the development, the so what if you want. So it is important for protecting the UK interest at home and abroad. That does make Plymouth an incredibly important city. Okay, some of you also mentioned Plymouth University here, and you could get the marks for Plymouth University. However, overall, the naval base there is the most important aspect of the city for the UK as a whole. So there's a little 2 marker, nice easy one. If you didn't get that down, very important to get that bit down in purple pen. Right then, the 9 marker. Let's have a little look at this. Urban change in the UK has created more economic opportunities than social opportunities. Oh dear, that's a dreadful 9 mark question. The problem with this question is, I'll just be really blunt with you, economic opportunities and social opportunities are often interlinked. They're essentially the same thing, but the exam board is trying to separate them to mean that you have an argument to make here. They've been mean because they haven't used the word challenges in this. Opportunities and challenges are the opposite of each other. This is a bit more complicated because both of them are opportunities. One obviously to do with money and trade, one to do with people. And the question, or the statement I should say, is that economic opportunities, there's more of those than social opportunities. Is then asking you to evaluate this statement. Now, because it says evaluate, I will just remind you, it's always the same. It's really just asking you to make a judgment. Okay, there's my big J for judgment. Do you mostly agree, partly disagree, or mostly disagree with this statement? Okay, you have to use a UK city, which will of course be Plymouth. I'm too lazy to write Plymouth out fully, so I'm just going to put a PLY there. Okay, so we need to think about Plymouth and whether there are more economic opportunities than social opportunities. I'll give you a little bit more what the exam board have said here. They've said this: the command word, oh, my Alexa just went off. The command word evaluate, along with more than, that's the concept of there's more economic than social, requires some judgment of the size or merits of the opportunities. Now, what that means is it's a case of saying, are the economic opportunities bigger, or potentially do more people benefit from them, or are there certain groups that are excluded from these opportunities? So it's quite a complicated question. There's lots of different ways you can answer it, and I'll try and answer it in the most simple, straightforward way. The one thing that I really want you to come back to all the time is this extentometer. If you come back to the extentometer, you're going to be okay, because you get that concept of evaluating and you're somewhere in between. Put up the mark scheme for you as well. It's always the same on these 9 markers. AO1 is a knowledge of, it's your case study, knowledge, your facts and figures. AO2 is your so what's and your explains. AO3 is your answering that question. Can you make a judgment? Can you back your judgment up? Introduction for this one, I've gone for the simplest possible introduction. That. I mostly agree with this statement. The reason I've used the word mostly, and it's already highlighted, is it gives me somewhere to go. Perhaps there are some cases where social opportunities are, or there are more social opportunities, or maybe there's an equal amount of social opportunities in some cases, but I'm saying I mostly agree that there are more economic opportunities in Plymouth than social. So what I'll do is I'll put my 2 Peelies up on the board now. And you can see down the left-hand side, you've got a point, example, explain, link, and evaluate. I took Ocean's Gate first, and the reason I picked Ocean's Gate is because, well, actually 2 reasons. One, it's nice to revise it with you, and secondly, there are a lot of economic opportunities created here. So I've gone for inner city redevelopment. Ocean's Gate, obviously in Devonport, has created huge economic opportunities. Now, the word huge there is an important word that might get overlooked, because what I'm doing there is I'm clarifying just how big these economic opportunities are. And then I've gone on and said, and there are some smaller social opportunities. I'm telling the examiner now that economic opportunities are bigger than social opportunities. And the word huge there just adds a little bit more gravitas and evidence to it, that I'm saying these are massive, these are really, really big. Social opportunities are smaller. My example, in Devonport, the Marine Enterprise Zone Oceans Gate on former MOD land has led to business like Princess Yachts opening in that place. Okay, so that's just my case study knowledge. If I'm marking this as an examiner, I'm going, right, have a mark for Devonport, have a mark for Marine Enterprise Zone, oh my days, Oceans Gate, oh my days, former MOD land, oh my days, Princess Yachts. And I will just be drag and dropping AO1, 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 AO1 for all of those facts. Bad examiner at this stage, kids, is giving you 3 for AO1 at this point. Okay, a really bad examiner is probably going to give you 3. You're definitely going to be on 2 after that section. Just shows the importance of knowing those case study facts. What's happened then? This has created multiple highly skilled jobs for Plymouth University. There you go, have another one then, have another AO1. In subject like oceanography, have another one, who then spend in the local economy creating more economic opportunities like new cafes and bars. So my little blue highlight coming out here, here's my explanation, all right. Also, this is explanation here, AO2 marks for that section. This shows that urban change can create an economic multiplier. Again, this is AO2 marks all day long. What have we got then? So evaluating, this is where this question's a bit weird, because now I have to say, well, the social opportunities, well, although social opportunities are created for residents, they rely on the economic opportunities being in place on a smaller scale. So what I'm doing with that sentence is just telling the examiner, yeah, I'm still making my judgment. I'm not just going to talk about economic opportunities, I'm going to talk about social too. There are some social opportunities, but they rely on the economic opportunities being in place. Okay, conveniently vague to what those social opportunities are at the moment, but enough there that the examiner would be giving you AO3 marks. So red AO1, blue AO2, yellow AO3. Now my second Peely is going to show, well, maybe there are some social as well. Drake Circus. CBD redevelopment has also created huge economic opportunities. There's my word huge again, as well as social opportunities. Now this time you can see that I've gone for, actually the social opportunities are big as well. I haven't said they're smaller, I'm saying they're big as well. Let's get our AO1 marker out. In 2006, fact, the undercover shopping mall Drake Circus, fact, was opened up at Plymouth, fact, attracting chain stores like Apple and Primark, facts, 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 facts. This has created a positive multiplier effect in Upper Plymouth, with other chain stores moving there to be near the higher footfall, blah, 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 blah. All of these marks in here are our AO2. It's our simple explanation. This shows that CBD redevelopment can create multiple economic opportunities. Fantastic news. Then we do our evaluation. Now, annoyingly, I didn't use the word however, so apologies for that. I've used the word although. Although, in this case, there are huge social opportunities too. Oh, that's fantastic. Huge social opportunities. There's my evaluation. To the greater access to a wider range of shops for local people in Plymouth. Now, intentionally here, I haven't spoken about the fact that you've got 30% of shops closed in Lower Plymouth, because it's not what the question's asking me. It's asking me about social opportunities, not social challenges. So as a result of that, I'm going to say there are huge social opportunities in Upper Plymouth as well, and then full stop. And the reason for that full stop is I've done what the question's asked me. It's asked me, are there more economic opportunities than social? And in this example, I've said, no, actually, they're huge in both. The previous example, I said they were huge economic, smaller social. So I'm going to get my marks either way. Conclusion at the end, economic is larger scale than social. Okay, larger scale than social. That's going to be my third AO3 mark all day long. So that's it, that's section A done, 33 and a bit minutes to get through that. Of course, any questions you have about that, please come and see me. I'm more than happy to talk it through.